My name is Phil Bond. I'm privileged to serve as the president of TechAmerica, the largest advocacy group here in the U.S. on technology policy and advancing the business of the U.S. technology sector. And it's my privilege tonight to welcome you to what is really an official launch of a very important new effort of our industry to communicate with the leaders of the G20. Let me give you just a moment of background before I introduce our keynote speaker for this evening. And after we hear from him, we'll then proceed out to the different buffet lines and enjoy dinner together. We started with a very simple concept, one which Pittsburgh can appreciate, which is that the G20 is the emerging, arguably most important multilateral venue that the world has for policymaking. We know that they have some stated goals for restoring economic growth, making sure it's sustainable, building in financial accountability and transparency. We came to this initially as national trade associations for the tech sector, believing that those goals will only be met or fail to be met depending upon the use of ICT technologies, ICT for growth, ICT for sustainability, for transparency and accountability. And so we brought those two ideas together and we said the world economy is meeting together with a subset, the G20. We had a world federation of 70 countries and 70 national associations, and so we took the G20 subset of that and began to talk with the national trade associations there. We are represented here tonight with folks from the UK, Intellect, from the US and TechAmerica, from South Africa, the IT Association of South Africa, but also have already received commitments from the Netherlands and India and Australia and Canada and others. So this is the simple vision, to take the world, the G20 subset, find those national trade associations, and then bring together with them global companies in the ICT space. And so tonight you have represented AT&T and Motorola. We also have commitments from HP and invitations out to a number of other companies, some of whom we're even invited here tonight to understand what the mission is. So this concept, our corporate partners, the G20 national associations, to talk to G20 policymakers about their goals and how they must embrace ICT technologies to reach those goals for the good of the world. And so today we have had our first meeting to really establish that effort, bring it together, lay out the predicate, the program, to begin to engage ministers on an ongoing basis and to talk about the fundamental, foundational aspects of ICT technologies to reaching these goals. Simple idea, but a big strategic idea for our industry. We're doing that under the auspices of WITSA, the World IT and Services Alliance, led by Dr. Jim Puissant, who is here this evening. Jim, if you can just wave. If you haven't had a chance to meet Jim, please do so. And then bringing together, as I said, those associations and corporate partners. We do that tonight as kind of an official launch, and we are privileged to have Pradeep Khosla here to be a keynote speaker for us. I hope you had a chance to read his bio, because I'm only going to skim over some of that, and what the bio does not communicate to you is the character that you're about to meet and the communicator you're about to meet. He is currently the Dean of College of Engineering here at Carnegie Mellon University. Previous posts at CMU have included founding a couple of important efforts, the director of the Sci Lab there, founding director also of the Institute for Complex Engineered Systems. He was formerly the head of the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering. Earlier in his career, program manager at DARPA. So he has certainly touched all the right bases along the way. As he's done that, he's of course won more awards than I would be able to recite for you all here. Suffice to say, ASEE and IEEE, our friends at the Business Software Alliance, among those who've honored him. His research has led to 3 books and more than 350 journals. He's a consultant to a number of companies, an advisor to important fora such as the World Economic Fora, and I wanted to publicly thank him for his service at NIST on the Visiting Committee for Advanced Technology, something that I know a little bit about at NIST there. He's also a local leader here through the Pittsburgh Technology Council. As we talk about ICT being the engine for sustainable growth, that is something Pradeep has literally helped to engineer. The goals of the G20 require and will rise and fall on the success of their employment of and deployment of that technology. Again, that is something that Pradeep Khosla has lived and taught on a personal basis. So we're thrilled tonight to have someone who really is a world leader in this space, a recognized expert, somebody with a truly international, global view, and just the right person to join us to talk about the mission before us and engaging the G20 and technology for the growth of our sustainable growth of our global economy. Pradeep?
Thank you, Phil. It's really embarrassing when your introduction is slightly longer than your talk itself. And you might wonder why the talk is going to be so short. It turns out that Pittsburghers eat at 5:30. Now, the only good thing about this crowd is half of you, or at least more than half of you, are not Pittsburghers. So I only get to upset half of you who were supposed to eat at 5:30. And then Phil tells me, of course, indirectly, that between this talk, I'm between you and dinner, basically, right? So instead of making it like a keynote talk in the traditional sense, I'm just going to have a little conversation, some random thoughts that I'm going to put across. But first of all, thank you, Phil, and for inviting me. The best thing that Phil did for me was send out this email. And one of my colleagues who got this email sends it to me as they're sending this email to invite people. And he says, Pradeep, is this really you? So I read this email. Actually, it was Lauren who sent the email. And I said, geez, man, this is really impressive. So as a happy camper, I take it home and I show it to my kids. I said, look, you guys think your dad is clueless, but look at these people out here who are sending this email, and they look at me and say, Dad, they're clueless too. So much for you guys. What can I say? So I want to talk a little bit about ICT as a driver. I think to this crowd out here, I don't have to make the case, but I hope that in what I'm going to say, at least there'll be one point that you might not have thought about. So if you look at ICT, I think there is no controversy out there. Everybody kind of says, oh, without ICT, the world would not be flat, the world would be just the way it is, right? But let's just take a look at what has ICT done. It's not just about a flat world. I think ICT is about empowering people. So if you look at the governance, the history of this world, where a king or a queen or some monarch or some dictator basically controlled everybody, there was a clear hierarchy of people. I think one of the biggest transformations because of ICT has been the world has become flat, not in terms of India's connected to US, which is kind of true, or China to US, but it's more in the sense of the hierarchies have been basically decimated totally, and that has led to a significant empowerment of people. So I have some pictures out here. So here's an example of a woman who unfortunately has Lou Gehrig's disease, right? And she is typical to the healthcare industry. The healthcare industry kind of covers for her, and they decide that they're only going to pay for what is called a Dynavox machine, which is about a few $1,000s, even though it runs a Microsoft operating system. That's all they'll pay for. But this woman, because she's empowered now, because the web has made us all flat and have created access to information, figures out that she has an iPhone, and for $500 she can buy the speech translation program, put it around her neck, and she doesn't need to deal with Dynavox. Hey, guess what? The insurance company decides not to pay. She says, forget it, I'm going to buy this piece of software anyway. But think about what just happened out here. What just happened out here is this woman, who would have been typically helpless about a decade or two ago, is suddenly empowered and has access to information in ways that we never had. Not only she has access to information, she's able to challenge the gods of healthcare, even though it's very well known within the healthcare industry. Actually, there's a little bit of controversy, but I think it's well known based on some experiments that when you put technology, or especially ICT in healthcare, there's a significant reduction in cost. Counter to that is also the point that technology raises the